Well, hello everybody. It's Angie the Coder, and today we're going to be talking about diabetes. Specifically, we're going to be talking about how to select the correct ICD-10 code when the patient is on a long-term diabetic medicine. And those three types of drugs are insulin, oral hypoglycemics, and non-insulin injectables. Now, the insulin drugs, you've probably seen a lot of these if you've been coding primary care or diabetes for diabetes providers for any length of time. You've probably seen a lot of Lantus and Novolog and Levemir and some of those drugs. Those are insulin drugs, and they would be reported with code Z79.4. Then the next category is oral hypoglycemics. And these are your drugs like metformin and Actos and Prandin. These are drugs, and I think Januvia. These are drugs that the patient will take via pill format, so they're oral, and they're basically usually the first line of defense in diabetes after diet. That you would code with Z79.84. And then the last category of drugs doesn't really have a specific ICD-10 code. We have to use a less specified code, which is Z79.899, which is, I think, long-term use of other drugs. And that is your non-insulin injectables. And that's like Victoza and Trulicity. And you've probably seen a lot of commercials for Ozempic. These are drugs that the patient may inject at home, usually once a day. I think Ozempic is once a week. But these are drugs that sometimes they take in addition to their insulin or in addition to their oral hypoglycemics. So, and they may take them by themselves. I can't remember if any of these are taken by themselves, but usually I see these used in combination with another therapy when I see these in the chart. But I don't quote me that it has to be that way. That's just the way I normally see it. So this is sort of the newest category, and this is the one you're probably seeing advertised on TV quite a lot. All right, and just so you know, there are some rules to the game. There always are rules when you're doing ICD-10 coding, and the rules of this game are found in the official guidelines, the official ICD-10 guidelines for 2022. The reason why I'm doing this video, because it seems, when you see the rules, you're going to be like, well, that's pretty easy. It's pretty self-explanatory. But the rules actually changed. In 2021, the rules were different than they are today in 2022. So that's why I wanted to highlight this. So what we're going to do, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go out and look at the different places where you can find the 2022 official guidelines for ICD-10. And the first place you can look is in your code book. So if you open up your ICD-10 code book, right in the front of the code book should be the official ICD-10 guidelines for 2022 if you're looking at a 2022 code book. If you do not have a 2022 code book, there are other places where you can get these official guidelines. One of them is if you have an encoder, your encoder probably has the guidelines there, and I'll show you in Codify, which is Codify is the encoder that I use, how I look in Codify for it. And the other place is absolutely free in that cms.gov. So let's go to the free place first. So what I'm going to do, I'm opening up a new window, and I'm just going to go to Google because most of you guys probably use Google as your search engine. So I'm on an iPad, so it doesn't automatically, I don't have it set to automatically come up to Google. But for those of you that like to do Google searches, this will be very easy. So all you have to do in your Google is type in 2022 ICD-10 CM guidelines, like I just did. And the first one is the one you want right there. And it may not be, at the time of this video, it's the first one. But if you just go to the one that has cms.gov in the address and click on it, it'll take you straight to the guidelines. Now, you may want to actually look at guidelines from 2021, which we're going to do too. So hold on, I'm going to show you how to do that. So let me open up another window and Google again. And if you just type in ICD-10 guidelines. Sorry, I'm slow today. And CMS. I think we can get there. And what I'm going to do is give you in the description below this video, I'm going to give you the direct links to this stuff. Let's see if I can find it. All right, if you go, this one right here, if you go to the one that's cms.gov and it's ICD-10, and you might want to bookmark this page because it has all kind of great ICD-10 resources on it, and it's all free. This is free stuff for you guys. If you come over here to this side over here, you'll see that the 22 guidelines are there, as well as the 21, and going down all the way to 2017, I think. But we're also going to address these 21 guidelines. So I'm going to go ahead and pull them up. So when you go to the guidelines, you want to go down here where it says downloads, right? And right here where this one says 2021 coding guidelines, this is because we're going to compare the two, and I'm going to show you the difference in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and pull them up, and there they are. So now I have the 21 ones pulled up here that we'll look at, and the 22. And I'm going to, like I said, I'll put the links in the description below so that you can just click on the link and go there. But now you know how to do a Google search on it in case you don't have access to the description underneath the video. All right, so let's go back to the 2022 guidelines. Oh, and I did promise you I'd show you how to get there. Oh, we're on them. I will show you how to get there via Codify for those of you that are on Codify. So we're going to come back to these later. I'm going to open one more window, and we're going to go to Codify. And hopefully, I'm going to have to log in a second, so I don't think I'm logged in. We'll see. Great. This will take me there. All right. And then I'm just going to log in real quick. All right, there we go. All right, so now I'm logged in, and you go to, when you're in Codify, which you go to through books and software. So when I'm in here to get to the guidelines, all you have to do is go over here where it says coding, ICD-10, click down, scroll, 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 and then you see where it says guidelines. You have your 22s all the way down to your 14s. So when you do that, you're going to have to download because it's going to say you want to download. And see, I have an Apple product. I'm on a iPad right now, but I don't know where your downloads are going to go. You should know that. But for my iPad, it was up there, and all I have to do is click on it, and it'll open up for me. And there we are. Okay, so that's how we do that. So if you're on Codify, you should be able to get to and sometime I need to do a video on all the absolutely cool stuff that you can get on Codify. As a matter of fact, I posted to my Facebook the other day something I found here in the upcoming changes. If you click on upcoming changes and you go to ICD-10, this is something that I did we're getting new ICD-10 codes for unvaccinated and partially vaccinated COVID-19 patients, and they go into effect in April. So here's just Codify. It's a world of information. I absolutely love this software. I don't work for Codify. I'm not sponsored or supported or funded in any way. As a matter of fact, I paid them for this software, but I really like it. And so, yeah, so there's that. All right, so back to what we were doing. This presentation. All right, so those are the rules of the game. Now we're going to read the rules of the game. I'm going to go back out there, but that's how you get to the rules. And this is basically what the rules say. And I'll show you in the guidelines in just a minute. Rule number 1, you do not use code Z79.4. You remember that's the insulin, long-term insulin. You do not use that for a patient who is on short-term insulin. So it's COVID, we're all we've seen a lot of COVID patients, and say our patient was in the hospital and they have diabetes, but they're normally being treated with something like metformin, or they are treated by diet, and they're not on insulin normally. They don't take daily insulin. But when they're in the hospital, say for COVID or for something else, or even for an exacerbation of their diabetes, the doctor in the hospital may choose to put them on insulin temporarily to manage that, get that blood sugar under control, especially in the case of COVID patients, because generally COVID patients are going to be getting steroids treatment for their breathing and for, to treat the COVID. And when they give them the steroids, it makes the blood sugar go up. So diabetic patients have a lot of trouble with that. And the doctors, even if a patient's not normally on insulin, may have to put them on insulin when they're in the hospital if the blood sugar is not manageable. And for other reasons, there are other reasons as well. Also, you may have a patient who is an outpatient patient who's coming into your doctor's office or your clinic, and the patient has normally been managed on, say, metformin or diet or something, like an oral hypoglycemic drug or just on diet. But all of a sudden, there's something. Maybe they've been given steroids for something, or maybe their diabetes has just gotten out of control for some reason. The doctor may put them on temporary insulin. Those patients do not get reported with Z79.4. So you would not use that code for any patient unless they're on a long-term use of insulin. Now, if you're not sure by reading the doctor's documentation, I recommend that you query the physician to find out. Okay, so rule number 2 is that if both insulin and an oral hypoglycemic were given long-term, prescribed long-term, then the code you would use is both the codes. You'd use the Z79.4 for your insulin and the Z79.84 for your oral hypoglycemic. So for instance, you have a patient on Novolog who's also on metformin, you would report both of these ICD-10 codes for that patient as long as they're both long-term use drugs. All right, rule number 3. If both insulin and a non-insulin injectable are being prescribed long-term, then you would code for both of those as well. So you would bill Z79.4 for your insulin, say your Novolog, Humalog, whatever, and then you would bill Z79.899 for your, say, your Victoza or your, what's the other one? Anyway, for one of those. All right, rule number 4. If both an oral hypoglycemic and a non-insulin injectable are prescribed for long-term use, you would code both the Z79.84 for the oral hypoglycemic, say, for instance, metformin or Januvia, and you would bill the Z79.899 for the non-insulin injectable, say, Victoza or one of those drugs. So you get to bill both. This is where, let's see, is there another rule? Okay. If this seems odd, or you're like, duh, this is so obvious, the reason why it seems obvious is because it's easier now than it was. In 2021, it was a little bit more complicated. There was a little small difference in the guidelines, and so that's what I'm going to show you right now. So we're going to look at, I showed you what the rules were for 2022. Let's see if we can go backwards. We cannot go backwards. There we go. All right, get out of there. So let us go back in here, and I'm going to show you what the 2021 guidelines said. So there they are. And if you go to the bottom, actually, let me show you. I'm going to show you the 2022. So how you get there. Once you've got this document open, you want to scroll down to where it says in the index here. You want to scroll down where it says chapter specific coding guidelines, and you're going to look for chapter 4. Right there, it says chapter 4, endocrine, nutritional, and metabolic diseases. And then you want to click on the diabetes, and it'll take you straight to this stuff right there. And once you get in here, you get some really good information. But what we're talking about is bullet point number 3. And this is what I was just telling you. If the patient is treated with both oral medication and insulin, code both. If the patient is treated with both insulin and an injectable non-insulin, code both. And if the patient is treated with both an oral hypoglycemic and an injectable non-insulin and diabetic drug, then you would also code both of those. The rules here are what I just told you. But here, I'm going to go show you the 2021 rules. And let me get up to the, sorry to make you dizzy, just close your eyes for just a second. And I will get to the index, because the index will take you straight to where you want to go. So in the index, same thing. You want to go down to the general code, the specific coding guidelines, go to chapter 4, go to diabetes. And this is where it's different. Let me get down to section 3, same section, but where it's different, it says if the patient is treated with both oral medication and insulin, only code for the long-term use of the insulin, which is the Z79.4. That is your difference. Everything else is the same, and I've gone through it, outside of this video, and determined that the guidelines are the same except for that. So in 2021, if a patient was on metformin and insulin, you could only basically, hold on, let me go back in here. So in 2021, if a patient was on insulin and metformin at the same time, then you would only report for the insulin. But as of 2022, which would have started October of 2021, because that's when our code book came out, we can now report both. So if a patient is on both, we report both. Okay, so that's why I'm making a big deal about this, because there was a change. And it affected my coding, so I thought it might be affecting your coding too, so I wanted to share that with you. All right, and this is just a little table kind of showing you the categories of drugs with their ICD-10 code, and a few drugs that fall into that category. There are way, way, way more drugs than the 3 that I've shown for each one of these categories. And you may be asking yourself, because I did, I said self, how am I supposed to figure out which of these drugs my doctors are talking about, which one of them are insulin, which of them are oral hypoglycemics, and which of them are these new category, the non-insulin injectables. And what I was doing to begin with was I was going out to the Merck manual, or I was going out online to maybe like dailymed.com, which is I need to show you guys that. It's a really good resource. So when I'd see a drug that I didn't know, and I'm like, I don't know what category this is, right? I would go out there and look and see what it was, what the category was. Like, say, the first time I saw Byetta, which is actually in the 3rd column here, that is a non-insulin injectable. And the first time I saw a doctor prescribe that, I'm like, what is Byetta? And I was like, is that an oral? Is that an insulin? I thought maybe it was another insulin. I was like, is this a new insulin? What is this? So I had to actually go out to, I went to dailymed.com and also went to the Merck manual, and I looked this drug up, and it told me that it was a non-insulin injectable. So, but that got a little old, looking up all the drugs. And you have to remember too, besides doing a diabetes clinic, I was doing a primary care clinic, and I was also doing an oncology clinic. So I was having to do this kind of thing even for my oncology drugs as well. So I was like, oh, this is getting old, having to look all these drugs up. So I started doing some Google searching, and I realized that there is an easier way. So let's talk about this bonus rule, and then I'm going to talk about my bonus tip, which is there's an easier way. Okay, so the bonus rule is you want to remember to code for your diabetes, because what good is it to code the diabetes long-term drug if you don't code the diabetes? All right, the bonus tip. I got so excited when I saw this. I was just like, wee, So what I found, quite by accident, is that in the AAPC version of the 2020 ICD-10 book, and it's the expert edition, that there's actually an Appendix A in there that lists by drug what the correct, it went away, sorry. Let me get that pulled back up for you guys. Oops. But if you can see, it lists by drug alphabetically what the Z code is, so that you don't, and it even gives you like a description. For instance, Actose, which is at the bottom down there, it tells you use Z79.84 because it's a long-term use of an oral hypoglycemic drug. So that yay, there is something out there. Now there are some drawbacks to this, and the drawbacks are you may not have a copy of this book. And so I reached out to the APC. I called them yesterday morning and asked them if their new 2022 book has this in there, and they said they don't believe it, that it does. The girl that I talked to, she pulled a book and looked at it, and she couldn't find it in there. So I don't think they're doing it anymore. But if you have a copy of the 2020 expert book from the APC, you do have this at your fingertips. Now, we'll tell you, one of the tools I'm thinking about working on is creating a list of some of the most common diabetic drugs and which ICD-10 code to use with those drugs. Okay, so I did figure out that the Optum 360 2022 book does have the long-term use codes by drug. I'll show you what I mean. This is out there on the Optum 360 website. This is kind of the sample of this book. This is their ICD-10 CM Expert for Physicians. Is the 2022 version. And if you look at the table of contents down here, it says in the appendices, I'm going to make this bigger. If you look at Appendix C, it has the Z codes for long-term drug use with associated drugs. Ha! Yes. So this book has it. So if you guys are looking to buy a new ICD-10 code book and you want this information, definitely check with the people at Optum about this. And if you already have this book, then yay you already have access to this information. So I hope this was helpful. If it was, please give the video a thumbs up. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. Let's see, what else? Oh, I want to thank every one of you guys who have subscribed to the channel or who've liked videos or left comments. Also, those of you who have been supporting my Etsy shop. Okay, so to get to my Etsy shop, you can either go to Etsy and just type in the Bossy Peach once you get there, or you can scan this QR code below and it should take you straight to my shop. Okay, so once you're out on my shop, this is the front page of my shop. You'll see I've got all kind of things for sale. I have a bunch of mugs for sale. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 mugs for sale, and they are all coating related. They're big, 15-ounce mugs, so they're really, really nice size mugs. If you're like me, you like a lot of coffee. So I don't actually create I design the mugs, but Printify actually is the one that prints the mugs and sends them out. But I do all the designs myself. So as you see, we have one that's the Coding Vibe one. This is I just love this one. It's so pretty and so girly. And I just love it. I've got a thing for rainbows right now, you'll see. And then we have a Valentine's Day one. This one says, Coding with my Nomies. Isn't he adorable? And we're also going to come out with a St. Patrick's Day one of these as well. And let me get back out of here, zoom back out, go back over. And the other two mugs, I have this one that is coding my bleep off with a donkey on it. And that one, I mean, who's not coding their bleep off right now? And the other one is the first mug I designed. It is my mantra for 2022, and it's the ICD-10 code for COVID, and I've got it blocked out with red, and it says, "Not this year, Satan," because I don't know about you guys, but I am tired of COVID. So I also have a set of mini magnets. This set of magnets is a set of 4, and you can see they're small. They're like there's a quarter right there so you can get a feel for how small they are, but they're 1-inch magnets. They'll be great to put on your whiteboard, which is, I think there's a picture. Oh, I'm sorry. These are not the magnets. I am doing a set of magnets just like this, and they're going to be on here as well. But this is an actual set of pins. So these are a set of 4 pins, and you can see what they look like on the back. So they're just little button pins that you can put on your jean jacket or your lanyard or your book bag, wherever you want to put them. But it's a set called Lucky in Love, and it's all about February and March. So you have your Valentine's Day stuff and your St. Patrick's Day. We have our gnomes, because I'm all about the coding with my nomies. You guys are my homies or my nomies, and so we have the Valentine's Day coding with my nomies, and we have the St. Patrick's Day coding with my nomies, and then I told you I'm so obsessed with rainbows, so I have a St. Patrick's Day and a Valentine's Day rainbow as well. So that is a small set. They're 1 inch buttons. They're pretty small. Then I've got, like I said, I'm going to do a set of 4 magnets just like that. And then we have the big magnets. Um, this is my coffee series. You get 2 2.25 inch magnets. And this is what they look like, holding your stuff up on your whiteboard, or you could put them on your refrigerator, wherever you want to use it. But these are so cute because, I'm obsessed with coffee. I like rainbows, but I love coffee, and I will code for coffee for sure. So you see there's an iced coffee one. Um, you got a latte, a pretty coffee art latte one, and you have the actual, to-go cup one, like Starbucks ones. So there we go. We got that set. Those are $7. Those are 2 1/4, so they're really pretty big. And then you have the set that's very much like the mugs. It is my Not This Year Satan magnet mug. These are also 2 1/4 size magnets, and you have the Not This Year Satan one, which is, ooh, that's my mantra. Then we have this one, which I think is hysterical, which is Modifier 59. I put that shit on everything, which pretty much, that's just funny. If you've been a coder for even a minute, you know that it's funny that it's so tempting to use that Modifier 59 even. We have to be careful not to use it when it's inappropriate, but it's funny. And this one, how many of you feel this way already? It's only February, and I already feel like I've been coding my ass off all year. So there's that one. And I showed you the mugs. We have this Not This Year Satan mask, and that's also done by Printify. And we also have the laminate. Thank you guys, all of you guys that have been purchasing my cheat sheet laminate. And then also this is the printable. This is an instant download. Now I'm going to tell you what I've been finding with this instant downloadable. Etsy calls it an instant downloadable. It's not so instant. It may take a few hours for it to show up. So if you purchase one of those, if you purchase one of those, feel free to reach out to me if you don't get it very quickly. But what normally happens is Etsy will send you an email and it'll give you a link to go download it. It'll be in your purchases. Let me see if I can show you. Anyway, I might do a separate video on that. But if you order it, then it'll go to your purchases and reviews, and then you go in there and you can download it from there. However, when I order from other people, I've noticed that mine may take a few hours. It's not as instant as you would think. So, but if you run into problems with that, reach out to me and I'll see if I can help you with it. Just message me on Etsy if you purchase the instant downloadable and it doesn't get to you as instantly as you think. Like I said, I've been having problems with that, with the ones I'm selling as well as the ones I've purchased from other people. So that's my shop. I hope you guys will come and check it out. And thank you to everyone who's purchased something. I have so much fun when I pack your orders. Those of you that have received orders from me, you know I like to put stickers in there. Sometimes I have the stickers printed by professional printers. I like to use Sticker Mule. That's one of my favorite places to use. But I also like to make them my own myself. I'm uh, kind of a coder by day and crafter by night, and I love making these cute little hollow stickers that have coding sayings on them. So sometimes when you get a package from me, you'll see some handmade stickers in it, or you may see some stickers from Sticker Mule. But I like to put little handwritten notes because I just really get excited about sending stuff to you guys. So anyway, enough of that. You guys have an absolutely fabulous day, and I will see you on the next video.
And to get 15% off of your order from now until March 31st, just put NOMIS in the promo code.